Okay, finally, The Mandalorian delivers a fairly good episode. So this could be a game changer, finally turning things around. So now we're getting somewhere and it's starting to get good. So, oh, this is the last episode of the season. Oh. Yeah, well, too little, too late. So, what are you going to do? So what was good about it? Well, in a lot of ways, it was just very simple, and it was a battle. But, simplicity was something they probably should have kept to. I think if they'd have just stayed with Space Cowboy, just had some adventures of him chasing bad guys, and maybe there's some interesting stories about some of the bounties he's got and that kind of type of thing, They would have been fine as far as saving Star Wars and rewriting everything and fixing it. Might have been better off just ignoring all that. You had 30 years to play with. The show wasn't going to last that long, so you probably could have done that. But no, that would have been better, since the idea of them retconning the sequel trilogy was extremely dubious at best. But I much would have rather they just ignore it. If not, it's not the best solution, but just to have this show and try your best to forget about everything else. Yeah, well, I guess it was kind of hopeless, no matter what you do. But anyway, that's not what they did. So this was just a mess of a third season with some little scenes here and there that was cool. A lot of people are upset about Bo-Katan's story, because at least she got something of a story. Even that was not handled very well. But that still could have worked. There's things you could have done. Didn't do it. No. Yeah, his name's Din Djarin, not didn't do it. Anyway, so this one was just what it was. Well, it was the battle, oh no, the Empire's here. Oh no, Moff Gideon, more like Darth Gideon, cosplaying as a Batman Mandalorian, or Bat Mandalorian maybe. Yeah, he's Darth Gideon. Yeah. So anyway, they just throw everything in it. Oh, look, he had a collection of clones, no surprise there, and they were all him. Oh, well, he was making clones of himself. What was he trying to do? Well, he just tells you. They were going to have use of the Force. So I guess that was the deal for Grogu's blood and all that stuff. He was looking for the midichlorians, how to replicate that and make clones of himself that had the Force. And that's understandable that remnants of the Empire would be trying to recreate that, because they lost it with the death of Palpatine. But little do they know, he didn't really die, did he? No. Yeah. So this is what he was doing. And after that meeting in the other episode with him and the other generals and admirals and whatever, and Hux's dad, they've all got their own take on it. And, of course, that'll lead to the sequel trilogy and all that. So, anyway, that's the confrontation. There's a lot of cool battle scenes. Not so much of the dogfights. I was expecting a bit more of that, because they showed the TIE fighters flying out and taking down their Imperial cruiser that the Mandalorians had stolen and all that. It hadn't really. It's funny because they came flying out of a cave, and with the Batman motifs with Moff Gideon, the TIE fighters were hanging like bats in the cave. So, it's kind of. And but anyway, there was a lot of that. I thought we would get some revelations of traitors and spies. I guess that's still possible in a fourth season, but I don't know. It's just these scenes of concentrating on certain characters who seem to be staring like there's something else wrong, or there's something else up, or I don't know. Could be absolutely nothing, which just goes more to the incompetence of the shot. But anyway, Here, Din Djarin goes up against Moff. Somehow, some way, he escapes from being in captivity, and he battles the stormtroopers who are in Mandalorian armor, but it apparently is a bit of a knockoff version of it because it doesn't work as good as his. Yeah. See, when they spray him with fire, he's like, "Oh God, this is bad because it's hot and everything," you know. But when the fire hits them, they're like, "Oh, they can't," you know. And I'm like, "Well, I realize it's uncomfortable, but you're still protected by the armor." Yeah. So anyway, then little Grogu shows up in his IG-12 corpse thing, and don't know how he did that, but when you see Bo and the gang running away, he's not with them, so somehow he snuck away and figured out, well, maybe using the Force. You can give him that. He found another hallway that led him to where Din Djarin was being taken. Not exactly certain why they spared him, why they wanted to interrogate him about what exactly, I forget, but yeah. So anyway, and then Din says, "Well, we're together, so you're just gonna have to be my backup." And we gotta go get rid of Darth Gideon, and otherwise we're always gonna be bothered with this crap. So that's what they do. They decide they're gonna go take out Gideon, and but first they take out his clones. So they did that. And then he's really upset about that, so he confronts Din Djarin. And at first it seemed like, well, he forgot to bring any weapons. But he had his super duper pooper scooper suit, and it seemed to be better than Din Djarin. So they fight. And then here come the Snoke guards, and a couple of them, they chase Grogu through the door. And it looks like, oh no, poor Grogu. But then again, Grogu has demonstrated massive amounts of power, but it's fleeting for some reason. It's very inconsistent, and he didn't really... After a while, he started knocking him around and stuff, but, yeah, that's a slip up there. And all the while is expecting, hey, you know what? One wondered, hey, was Din Djarin going to be killed? And then you could have had Grogu just, lose his poo, and just start killing Moff Gideon with the Force and crumpling him up like a beer can, And then you could end on that with the potential that Grogu could turn to the dark side, Spoiler, they didn't do that. Din Djarin is very much alive. And the battle's not going well, but then here comes Bo-Katan. And you're like, oh, of course, she saves him. Well, yeah, but then they team up on Darth Gideon, and then Grogu joins them as well, because, boy, he's a tough customer. Plus, when he's fighting Bo, he suddenly remembered he had one of those Snoke Guard's staffs in his belt, and so he started fighting her. He ends up destroying the Darksaber, so I don't know, but I guess it could be repaired. I don't know. And then... Din Djarin and Grogu come to her rescue. So there you go. See, everyone got their chance to be hero. And meanwhile, Axe Wolf or whatever, his name's Wolf, and he has an endorsement deal with Axe Body Wash. So anyway, he decided to do, well, not exactly a kamikaze run, but he's flying the Star Destroyer into the Imperial base to blow it all up. And, of course, he's got a jetpack, so he dives out the window, so he's fine. But the ship goes in and is destroying everything, and everything's coming down and fire everywhere. And looks like it's all over for Bo and Din, but then little Grogu uses the Force, like Sue Storm does in the Fantastic Four with an invisible force field. He's using the Force to do it. So it's a force field of Force. And they survive the flames, but not so much for Darth Gideon, I guess. No, he's dead. Maybe. But anyway, so that's that. They win. And then they... the character that Jon Favreau was based on, the character that was based on Jon Favreau, that was supposed to be him in the suit, and they got killed, which everyone took as a sign that says this isn't his show anymore. And it could be. Well, his son got baptized in the the Mandalorian waters, and so then Din Djarin says, "Hey, Grogu's my apprentice, so he needs to be baptized too, but he can't talk." And I thought, oh, he's finally going to say something. No. So Din says, well, I'm going to adopt him. And she said, well, this is the way, but you can't stay here. I don't know. Just can't. So says his goodbyes. They hop in the starfighter and fly back to Apollo Creed's planet. And Apollo Creed sets him up. He's got a little trailer house outside. And then he flies over to the Republic and talks to I forget the guy's name, but the main X-Wing pilot that kept visiting. And he says, hey, I need a job. I'll do some bounty hunting work for you guys. And, that'll be cool. And the guy's like, yeah, all right. So that's his new job. And Grogu will be his Robin to his Batman, or, well, his cub to his lone wolf, And there you go. That's they went through all this stumbling around and crap and stupid, just to get them to this point, despite messing up the entire narrative that was set by the end of the second season. It did not have to be this way. You could have had Grogu still very much in the show, just not with him. Apparently that was mandated, I guess. Even though he would still be around, that should satisfy the merchandising. I don't know why it had to be like this. Because even just, they wanted to focus on Bo-Katan. Well, they did, but not very well. You could have had that. But I don't know. Maybe after all this, we'll finally get Din Djarin's story. Yeah, well. So anyway, the Mandalorians got a tough road ahead of them as they try to restore their irradiated planet. So good luck with that. And so there you go. It's Mandalorian season 3. I don't know what to tell you. It's baffling to me as to why it's this bad. You didn't. What are you gonna do? So there it is. Mandalorian.